All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Wholesaling the Cool Way. I'm your host today, Jasper Cool, here with my dad, Mark Cool. And on this show, we like to talk about our respective businesses, what's working for us, tips and tricks, victories from the past week. And yeah, we like to usually kick it off with some podcasts or books or inspiration, anything else that we've gotten value from over the past week. So, do you want to kick us off with that?
Sure. Um, yeah, I guess, it's Olympic season, so I've been watching that stuff, and that's been really inspiring. Um, the women's 4x4 sprint and then 100 meter, I guess four 100 meter, right? And then the women's 100 meter qualifiers I watched, and the mixed with men and women, when the men and
Yeah.
women hand off the 400, that was really great. And women's rugby has been awesome. Um, I even watched some water polo yesterday, which is kind of fun. It's kind of fun to watch. And the women's victory over Japan, they scored the goal in extra time in soccer. It was
Uh-huh.
cool to see. It was a really clutch goal towards the end of extra time. So yeah, I've been enjoying that. As far as inspiration, I've still been reading poetry just to change my brain a little bit. I think it's healthy to balance from all the business stuff. So I've been reading Mary Oliver. Uh, this is a really great poem. I can't put my hand on the book right now, but like she was talking about how this might be seem a little bit dark, but I think it's cool. Like a lot of her poems are about being out in nature, and I think she lived out in the woods and stuff. And she's talking about like there was a dead bunny rabbit, and she was walking on one of her regular walks, and she walked by it a couple times, and she felt sad about it, and finally on one of her walks she brought a shovel and buried the rabbit, and then a couple of days later she sees these baby chicks in a nest in a tree, and the nest was lined with the fur of the rabbit. So
Ah,
like the rabbit lived on. The way she put it was really cool. It's like the rabbit lived on,
yeah,
and nurtured these baby chicks. So that
that's cool.
that was one of my favorite poems of the week. I'm not going
Yeah.
to read the poem because I couldn't put my fingers on it, but it's really good. Anyway, I like poetry for making me think in different ways. And then we were talking a little bit about like leadership styles and stuff. And so before we jumped on this pod, and Jasper, you gave me this book, Multipliers. So I've been revisiting that one, jumping back into that, and just looking at leadership styles and how to really support my team and be a multiplier, be somebody who supports their growth and their empowerment as a leader rather than someone who is more of a micromanager or um,
Yeah.
they even say in this book diminisher. It can be a diminisher by putting people in too tight of a box or not letting them shine or let their personal abilities come to the fore. So that's been good for me to look at. And yeah, I've sort of put down this book called The Drunkard's Walk, which I actually gifted to you, Jasper. It's a really good book about
Yeah.
the just sort of the I don't know if it's the law, but the principle of randomness and how it plays in our lives so much, and we don't realize it all the time. Um, so that's cool. He was the one part I was listening to today. I'm listening to it on audiobook. Is about how the Greeks didn't really have math. They had geometry and they were geniuses about that, but they didn't really know like basic math and probability and how to use numbers. It's
Hmm.
really funny. And yeah, like stuff that had to do with probability, they attributed to the gods, but then they could do all these genius geometry things and figure out that the earth was round and stuff. So,
Yeah.
interesting. And so, yeah, that was the randomness in their world, is like they could measure all this stuff, but then everything else was like, was talking about how they would toss these bones that came from like the heel of a cow or something, and they were six-sided bones, and that was like the will of the gods when they tossed those. And it's completely random.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I've got. That's the stuff I've been taking in and being inspired by or learning from this
Awesome.
past week.
I like it. Switched up a little bit. I like the
Yeah,
poetry. That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I've been reading that book I shared before we hopped on, which is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Been really enjoying that one. I shared with you before what he was talking about transactional versus transformational leadership. And transactional is like, what is it? Check next. That's his framework for transactional, where you tell someone what to do, you check up on them, and they tell them what to do next. And transformational is outcome, measure, coach. So you give someone a goal to shoot for, something to measure it by, and then you coach them on how they did once they're done. So I thought that was awesome, among other things, but I don't want to read through the book and stall things, but I've been getting a bunch from that book, so I've been liking it so
I
far.
really like that what you said though, the distinction between that, because like we
Yeah,
were talking about offline, if you're giving somebody something, checking up on them, and then giving them the next thing, then you're chained to that person and to that role also, and you don't
yeah,
empower them and you don't free yourself as a leader to do bigger things. So
yeah,
that's a really good way of looking at it.
yeah. And he also talks about like if you're doing it that way, you'll always hit a ceiling, like whether it's a glass ceiling or not. Like I think he said, if you're doing it that way, like the max you could ever grow your team is like 7 people. Because if 7 people are constantly coming to you for what to do next, what to do next, what to do next, then you have no free time. And so I realized that when he said that, I was like, wait a second, that's around the same size as my team. Because I've been doing that in the past. And I'm really glad I'm reading this book and stuff and making some changes, but I've definitely been doing that in the past. So I feel like I've definitely been running up against the wall kind of, and now I know why. So it feels like invigorating to kind of see why I've been kind of struggling to grow past that mark. But anyways, that book is awesome. Highly recommend that to anyone. And as well, he has a YouTube channel that I watch sometimes, Dan Martell. So he's got some good videos on there too, kind of just echoing the things out of the book. But also listened to a couple of really good podcasts that I enjoyed this week. One of them was Brent Daniels. He was on the Investor Lift pod. And obviously Brent Daniels is all over the place himself, like with his own social, but I haven't seen him on a pod in a while. So it was cool to see him on the opposing side of things and being interviewed and stuff. And I've heard his story before, but it's always still inspiring to hear his story because it's just like I thought I was at rock bottom when I was starting wholesaling, but he was at negative rock bottom. Like he had a 700+ thousand dollar judgment against him. And he was sharing how he had to go to the attorney who was like suing him. He had to go to the attorney's office every month and show them his assets and be like, hey, look, like this is all I've got. This is my bills. Like I don't have anything left over this month. And like he had to do that every month because if he did have something left over, it was theirs, like basically they let him live, of course, like he has to cover his living expenses, but anything extra he had to give to them. So anyways, he
What was
got
the
out of that.
judgment for?
So he before 2008, he was a traditional real estate agent. And so, he just had, I guess, bad timing because no one knew what was going to happen. But he signed a 10-year lease because everything was looking great in his life, right? He was living in a mansion at this time. He was married. He got divorced. But he was married. He was living in a mansion in Scottsdale. And he was making a lot of money as a real estate agent at that time, not a wholesaler. And so he was like, all right, I'm about to blow this up. I'm going to sign a massive office lease, which is in the Scottsdale Air Park, which is like 2 minutes from me, but really nice area, like where commercial space is very expensive. And so he's like, I'm going to sign this huge lease. I'm going to fill it with realtors and we're just going to blow the team up. And so he signs the lease. And then 2008, 6 months later, the market falls out. So he couldn't hire any agents. All the realtors quit and he was just left on the hook for that 10-year lease because he had a personal guarantee on it, like an idiot.
So they
But
sued him. They wouldn't let him out of that obligation.
yeah, so they sued him for the remainder that he would have had to pay, essentially. And obviously he didn't have that money, so it was just a judgment against him, and he had to pay it off gradually. So pretty insane to think about. That's quite a large amount of money to be owing somebody.
Yeah.
But in long story short, he figured out wholesaling and he got out of it. But it's just really cool to hear his story and everything. And now he's made kind of a full switch from even cold calling because that's how I first learned about him. Obviously, the Talk to People TTP program, and now he's made a full 180 to PPC, and now they have a PPC like company that does PPC for other people. So it's pretty interesting that he did kind of a full 180 there. And he said he just loves it so much better than doing the cold calling and stuff. But that was a really good episode. I like that one a lot. And then also like that he transitioned rather than buying rentals like a lot of people do. He transitioned into being a hard money lender, which is something that I think is more in line with my goals as well. So that was cool to see. I think him and Jerry Norton are the only two people I've ever heard talk about doing that as opposed to rentals. They both don't like rental properties. So that was kind of cool. And it's funny because on the podcast, there's this dude who's the host, and he owns like, I don't know, 400 rental properties, single family, like, so all separate rental properties. He loves it, but it's just I think everyone's different, so it's cool.
According to Matt Larson, this is the time to sell them all, or most of them.
Yeah, yeah. But and then I listened to this other one with her name was Stephanie Betters, and she shared really cool how she's making $8 million on 20,000 a month spent in marketing. So that was
Wow.
incredible. And the reason why she's doing such a massive ROI is because she's doing about half and half in terms of houses and land. But when they do get their land deals, they're not wholesaling those deals. They're taking them down, they're entitling them, and then they're subdividing and building 5, 6, 7 houses. And so they make about $4 million doing that, doing spec homes on land, and then they make about 4 million wholesaling, but all on 20,000 in spend. So that's insane. 20,000 a month in spend. So that was really cool and inspiring. And she's in Charlotte, so
Oh,
no excuse,
wow.
no excuse for me. Because she's literally just in Charlotte and she's doing $8 million. So they're not even in other markets in North Carolina. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, that was super inspiring for me to hear about. And she's just like got her numbers super dialed in. One big difference though that is different in her business is they do everything in person. So that's different. And so because of that, she said that they literally only need 40 leads a week to close 4 contracts a week. So that was inspiring to say the least. Her numbers were very inspiring. Kind of remind me of like Alex Hermosi of wholesaling, just the way that she's got her ROI so high.
We're similar to that, though. I mean,
Um,
we don't do a lot of leads every week to get contracts, but
yeah, but
you definitely have a higher conversion rate in person.
yeah, so that was interesting. I don't want to switch to in person. I like my business, but I do. I mean, Matt Larson shares the same sentiment that if you do in person, you're going to get a better close ratio. So I think
Yeah.
that's definitely true because I used to do it in person. So, but that's it for me. Went a little bit long there. So let's switch to business check-in, and yeah, just kick us off.
Business check-in. We had a good week, so I guess this was the first week in August. So we ended July this week, and we ended really strong. So I felt really happy for for the business and for our team. We closed 3 deals this week, and so that gave us a total of 8 closed deals for July, the first
Sweet,
month of the quarter. Yeah, and we had our biggest revenue month of all time in July. So
awesome.
yeah, biggest cash revenue. Plus, we had another owner finance deal, which I don't count as cash revenue because
Yeah,
it's to be realized later. But that it's another like 25 to 30K in profit on owner finance tacked on to our biggest month. So our biggest month without that. So pretty great. I guess I can ring the bell for myself on that.
yeah, ring
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So 3 closings, 8 for the month, biggest revenue of all time. So really exciting. Hopefully, we can keep on that track because that's the pace we want to be on for
Yeah,
the business.
that's exciting.
Yeah, yeah, very exciting. So then we did other KPIs, or we got 4 contracts this week, which is nice. We had a low number of leads. We've still had some SMS issues this week with our list filtering, and I think Smarter Contact had a down time or a slow time that we had to deal with. Anyway, 28 leads this week, which is low for us. We're normally around 50. 40 to 50 leads is about what we do, up to 60 even.
Uh,
And then we did 13. No, we did 9 offers. Wait a minute, 13 offers with 9 pending. Sorry, our our DocuSign platform went down. We use one called PandaDoc, and it's never gone down on us before, but it went down on Saturday for maintenance. I guess it was just maintenance, and they did it on a Saturday.
uh,
But my acquisitions guy was trying to send offers on Saturday, and he wasn't able to. So we had 22 offers set to go out, but only 13 went out for their maintenance. So we'll have a bigger offers week next week because they're a bunch queued up to go out. So that's good. Like sending over 20 offers is good in a week for us.
yeah.
And we sold one last week. I forgot to write that down, but I know we sold at least one. Looking at my Slack really quickly here. Oh yeah, we sold this one really quickly. We got a contract on this deal. It's a vacant lot, and we priced it according to the comps that we found on Investor Base and elsewhere. and our acquisitions team got a really great buy price on it. And the dispo, one of our dispo guys came in at a lower price, and I was like, that doesn't look like the same as the comps. Let's just go where the comps are and see what we get. And we were able to sell it for full price, full asking price for the higher range.
Nice.
And yeah, to one of our VIP buyers. It sold within a day, once we got the contract. So um, nice profit deal, and bonus Jasper. It's a lead that you sent us for a land parcel. So we'll be kicking you some money on that
Oh,
as
cool.
well. Closes, yeah.
That's awesome.
So that'll be the second one. Because this is a VIP buyer, so he is getting a septic. So there's always a variable there. But I think
Yeah.
that the other lots in that area, I've already sold to other builders and closed. So I'm pretty confident that's going to bear out. But yeah, so that's a victory too, and
Yeah.
appreciate you sending us land leads, because it looks like they're starting to bear more fruit these days. Started
Yeah.
we started just giving them to the cold caller, or just if our acquisitions person has some downtime, she'll just go through and call them, and
Yeah.
it's working. So yeah, so that's a victory. And what else? I guess I could talk about the closings we had. Maybe if I can look at them and see what
Oh
happened.
yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, I was trying to see what else my notes were. Oh, we got a price reduction this week too. I think it was my acquisitions person's first price reduction she did herself. I usually
Sweet.
do them and then like record the phone calls so she can learn, but she
Uh,
got a price reduction on this one deal, so that's great. Uh, yeah, so let me peek at these deals really quickly and see if I can share anything interesting. I'll pull up my Podio real quick. Transactions. We closed. Yeah, these. I think these are all vacant lots that we closed this week. Great podcasting. The silence while I wait for a computer to load. Yeah, we closed this one that was a mobile home property. I've shared about this one on this pod multiple times because we've had it under contract since January. Finally closed on Monday, and it was we had some guys find a buyer for it, other real estate investors. So it's kind of like a JV. It was like ABBC. We sold it to them. They sold it to their buyer. They got transactional funding. So it's a little bit of a. I think I shared this on the last podcast that the transactional lender didn't come through on Friday, so he did come through on Monday. I found out the reason was it was too late in the day, and he likes to get his money back the same day. So by the time everything was set up, it was like 2 o'clock, and he didn't want to wait until Monday to get his money back. So he said, "I'm not funding it until Monday."
Yeah.
So anyway, that closed, and we made a decent profit on it. That's when we had to get a price reduction on. That's when we had tenants who wouldn't move out and vandalize the property as they were moving out. We did an eviction. Yeah, we did the eviction there. So it was a long and winding road, but finally closed, and sellers got paid. We're done dealing with the tenants and all the hassle of it, and we made a little bit of money. So I'm grateful for that.
Sweet.
Uh, and then another one was just a building lot in Guilford County, which is a popular county in North Carolina. And we have a guy there who will buy pretty much anything that we get there. So he snapped that one up, and we closed it pretty easily. This was a funny one because the attorney that the buyer used was a new attorney for him, and it's the first time I ever had this happen. But he told the buyer that he could not talk to us. He could not communicate with us at all. So I was trying to email him like, "Hey, is this closing? Hey, is the EMD in? Hey, is the funds in? Did you get the HUD? Whatever." And every time he'd be going either through the buyer or through our attorney who did our closing documents to back to me. So it was really weird.
Wow.
But he would not talk to me. And that's one that we ended up buying because there was a delay. I think it was a delay from the attorney, but we bought it and then resold it. So um, that was how that one went. And then we had another one that was a similar thing with the buyer using their own attorney, and they had some delays with not wanting to do an assignment or not liking the way our contracts were. So we bought it to make the seller happy, and then we sold it a couple weeks later and closed it. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so that's it. It was a mobile home property that was a rundown mobile home, and then two vacant lots.
Nice.
And mobile home was a long and winding road, and the other two were fairly straightforward, just some delays from the buyer's attorneys.
Nice.
But we ended up getting them done. And we did buy both those lots because we knew we had a good buyer locked in and the sellers were anxious, and we just ended up just buying them.
Yeah.
So just sometimes when we have a deal that we know we're going to make a good profit on, even though it costs us some money and cuts our profit, it ensures us that nobody's going to try and go around us and that the seller's not going to freak out and change their mind or any of that stuff. So especially on a piece of vacant land where it's going to cost us $5 or $10 or $15,000, we just buy it sometimes.
Yeah,
And it feels worth it to us to just not have to worry about the seller side anymore.
definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all I've got. We're still working on social media manager hiring and interviewing. We're still looking at how we're going to expand next, whether we're going to have another person in dispositions before we have an acquisitions person come in, which I'm leaning towards. We've got our dispositions manager, which is Jasper, your uncle, has been bogged down with a lot of just logistical stuff that's he really shouldn't be doing. Like one house that we have that we own subject to has a broken HVAC, and so he's been dealing with contractors for that to try and get quotes and get people in there, or things like getting photos of properties. Our other dispo guy has not been doing that or hasn't been trained to do that, or setting up open houses. There's just been a lot of logistical stuff with boots on the grounds people and contractors and stuff. Oh, utilities, like utilities on houses when you have to get them turned on. Like that's all stuff he's been doing, and I don't want him doing that, and it's kind of a waste of his time. So I either
Yeah.
have to bring somebody else in to do some admin and do some of that stuff, or we have to get our second acquisition or dispositions guy to be doing more of that, or something. But that's been like one of my challenges this last week or so.
Yeah.
Is getting that like just basic logistical stuff managed without having, like Derek's main job as dispo manager is to talk to buyers about deals, and get contracts signed by buyers. So dealing with HVAC companies and utilities and all that stuff is kind of not being productive. So
Yeah.
that's been a challenge, just figuring out where to place those jobs. It's a who not how issue, like who's going
Yeah.
to take care of that. So that's one of our growth edges. Oh, and we hired a bookkeeper this week. We have an accountant, and they've been super super slow in their response time, and they like did an extension on our taxes, which is understandable because they have to figure out our books and get stuff online, and then they delayed again with the bookkeeping. Like they said, we can do your bookkeeping for you, and blah blah blah. But then it was like 2 weeks before they got us a contract to like do the bookkeeping, and
Huh.
so I had done a bunch of interviewing for an executive assistant, and one of the people I interviewed has a really strong background in bookkeeping and accounting for US companies doing real estate and wholesaling. And she's got like advanced degrees. She's got like a bachelor's and a master's in those fields. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I'm sorry it didn't work out for the executive assistant, but would you want to, bring our books up to date and be our bookkeeper? And interviewed with her this week, and she's totally down and excited to do it. So I'm 86ing the American accountant and bringing in the Filipina who is on top of things and will respond to me in a timely way and get stuff done.
Sweet. That's
Yeah, so I'm
awesome.
excited about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's going to start on Monday, and she's going to get our books up to date. She's going to get QuickBooks dialed in. She's going to get us so we have reports coming and when we want them, and then she'll be maintaining the books on an ongoing basis, and maybe doing some of our other financial stuff that needs to be done. And
Yeah. Awesome.
this isn't the primary reason for it, but at a fraction of a cost of the quote that I got from the other people who take 2 weeks to respond to an email.
Yeah.
So it's like more responsiveness, great quality of experience, and lower costs. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I think that's all I've got for business. I didn't go as far in depth on those deals as you do, Jasper, with where the lead came from, the campaign and all that stuff. I guess I could look at it, but
Oh, that's okay.
my my podio's not as organized as yours yet. I'm getting there. have the developer working on it. But these are all SMS, I think. Like I said, yeah, that's an SMS campaign for the Guilford one. And I think the other one we closed was an SMS campaign too. In Moore County. Have you done any work in Moore County?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, we do some deals over there.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think so.
that was also an SMS. But yeah, I'm good. That's all I've got.
All right. Well, congratulations on a huge week and month. That's awesome.
Yeah, really exciting. Really great to have our best revenue month ever. We had a really slow April, May, June. You know, they were very slow and it was very stressful. And so it's really exciting to have a really strong July starting off the next quarter.
Yeah, that's huge. Awesome. Well, we can switch over. I'll start with KPIs for me for this week. We got 2 contracts, closed 1 deal, and I'm in between July and August. So we got 2 contracts, closed 1 deal, and yeah, or sorry, 3 contracts, because 2 in July and then 1 in August. So 3 contracts and closed 1 deal, and didn't sell anything this week. And in terms of leads and offers, I can pull that up. So we got 118 leads and put out 91 offers. So
Wow.
pretty good. A little bit lower on the leads side of things, but pretty good overall. And then for that deal we closed, unfortunately, I don't have all the tracking I normally do because my agency that I work with for cold calling, they weren't sending me the campaign with their leads. So I fixed that when I noticed it. So going forward, now we've had it all week this week, but we didn't have it for this one. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But I can go over the timeline real quick in case anyone is interested. We got the lead in February of this year, February in 2024, towards the end of the month. We followed up with this dude for a few months and then contracted it end of June, and we closed it end of August. So yeah, this was not really a good profit deal. I think I shared about this deal before, but got it in North Durham. I thought it was going to be a home run, and it was totally not. So on this one, we went with New Western, and they bailed us out. And yeah, we made a little bit of money on it, which is nice. But it was definitely not a home run by any means.
Yeah, you didn't want to use New Western at all anymore at all.
Yeah, we got 2 with them right now, and not including that one that we just closed, because they are impressive still. You know, when you have 0 buyers, they will find a way to sell your deal. It's incredible. I don't know how they do it, but either way, they're helpful to work with when you have no other options. So for anyone
We've
who's
got a
listening,
deal like that. Maybe we have to reach out to them.
yeah, I mean they'll get it sold. It's impressive. Yeah, but so yeah, so that's it for this week. We did get another good review this week, which is awesome for net closing. And then yeah, we also got, well, we hired a new guy, but I guess that was the past week, but I don't think I shared about that. So we hired someone that you referred to me. Thank you for that. And he's been crushing it this week. So I hired him as what Matt Larson calls a lead manager. All the different people call things within your wholesaling business different things, but I just stole the lead manager tag for now. But it's basically like a manager. I mean, lead manager is fine, but it's basically just like a manager who's going to be replacing me in the business. So I'm super excited about that. And the first week, he really crushed it for us. He crushed almost all the goals I set for the first 2 weeks for him. And so this week, you know, he's put together email blast for us. He's took over the buyer. Like I have a separate email account for buyers when we send out deals. He's taken over that email account. He's been responding to buyers all throughout the week. He's been using investor base and finding buyers and you know, trying to get our deals sold. And we got our first contract this week, you know, after I kind of trained him on the process. And so he took over that as well. So he reached out to the seller, sent them, a copy of the contract via email like we like to do, ordered the pictures, did everything like that, all on his own. So it was very interesting for me because usually when we get a contract, like I'm frantic because I relay this to him, but I like to get in contact with our sellers as fast as possible. So just so that they feel good about working with us. And I felt just like so weird just not doing anything after we got a contract, but it was nice. He did everything that he was supposed to do and he crushed it. So that was awesome. And not only that, but he also put together a master doc for all of our SOPs and everything for our company. And then he also, what else did he do? I gotta look at my notes. Oh, he also has been crushing it with coming up with offers. So that was something that I was doing like a lot throughout the day. It took up a good amount of time for me, just reviewing deals and coming up with offers for our acquisitions teams that we can try to lock up contracts. And that's something that took like, probably like 2 days ish to kind of work together on and get him trained on. But now he's crushing. He's coming up with offers. We also implemented a new system within our podios that's more streamlined. So before we were kind of tagging people back and forth, like, hey, need an offer for this one. And then once we put the offer, be like, hey, offer's ready. We were just like tagging people in the comments, but now we kind of streamlined it. So we just have two statuses, which I don't know, I didn't think of this before, but this guy has allowed me to come up with more ideas, Josh. So
Yeah,
I'm really
you have
thankful for him.
free thinking space.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird. Like I don't know, I didn't think of this before, but I guess because I just didn't have the mental space. I don't know. But either way, we came up with a very simple process in case you want to copy it. But it's just that we have a needs offer status and then we have a ready for offer status. It's like a third grader could have came up with that, but I'm glad that I finally did. And now we don't have to tag people. And when you tag someone, it's easy to get that lost because there's so many notifications in Podio throughout the day. And then even if you have it where it sends to your email, which is how I was doing it, it still can kind of get lost in the shuffle of your emails. So I feel like this new process has been working well so far. We implemented it on Thursday. Team's been crushing it so far, and now like I can go in there or Josh can go in there and we can just click on all the ones that need offer, run all the numbers, and then we move them to the status for the acquisitions team and they can make all the offers. So it feels like that was just a huge improvement on our effectiveness or efficiency. So yeah, that's just, I guess that's a victory for me, just sharing all that stuff. It's been awesome. And
Great.
looking forward to even more progress next week. So yeah. But the challenges for me this week have been at first it was a challenge for me to get over the hump, putting together all these different SOPs and stuff. I really didn't want to do it, but having someone where like I have to do it, it makes me do it. But
Yeah,
in the past, like before hiring this position, I was like, well, I should put together all these things so I can be ready once I hire someone. And of course, I wasn't going to do it. But now that I have someone, like, it's keeping me on track as well. And I've gotten over the procrastination of that. So now I actually like doing it. And with Loom, thankfully, they just type out all the other thing for you. So now I just have to make a quick video and they do all the rest for me. And then I can just put it into a Google Doc, super easy.
yeah,
Uh, and then yeah, and then I was super unorganized and now everything is organized all in one master document. So it's awesome. But yeah, so yeah, my main challenge now is just figuring out what to do with the free time. So we'll see how that goes. And then also, keeping up with Josh, making sure he's not getting bored. But I'm excited about continuing to grow with him and also excited to hopefully get our podio done by the end of this month. That's my goal. I'm not going to try to rush it. I want to make sure it's perfect. So by the end of this month is my goal for the podio.
yeah.
But, yeah, so that's about it for me. We got a bunch of properties in Dispo. We're waiting on pictures. Actually, I'm getting pictures right now as we're talking for one of them. So I think next week will be a good week for like Dispo because we've been waiting on photos for a few weeks on these. So we got like 7 properties ready to go out pretty soon.
Nice.
So yeah, feels good. Uh, the only other challenge is just waiting on tenants and sellers to move out, but nothing you can do about that. So yeah, I think that's it for me.
Nice. Thanks for checking in. I'm glad you got the lead manager in place. It's going to revolutionize your business, being able to not have to think about all those little detailed things. You'll be able to grow.
I
Like you
know.
said already, you have more mental space.
Yeah, it already has. It already has changed a lot. And feel like my whole team has been improved too, because now they have a document they can refer back to. We changed some processes around, and yeah, everything feels like it's on the up and up now. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Definitely inspiring me to make sure mine is dialed in too, where ours is a work in process.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's it. Do you have any quotes or anything you want to share to end it out?
I don't have anything ready at hand.
Oh, that's okay. Do we have any comments to go over this week? Or no?
I peeked earlier. We didn't have any comments on the pod this last week, so I guess we don't have
Okay.
any
Well,
questions or
I will
anything.
share. I actually had two quotes that, actually three quotes that I like this week that I wrote down, and two of them were actually a poem, not even really a quote. So I'll share these real quick, and then we can wrap up. So number one, this is a poem, and by Jean-Paul Sartre. Sartre. So he says, "I have led a toothless life, a toothless life. I have never bitten into anything. I was waiting. I was reserving myself for later on, and I have just noticed that my teeth have gone." So
Mm,
that hit me. That can go as deep or as shallow as you want, but that hit me. I like that
yeah,
one. And then second poem that I liked by Shel Silverstein, very popular dude. And he says, "She had blue skin, and so did he. He kept it hid, and so did she. They searched for blue their whole life through, then passed right by and never knew." Very similar to the first one, but I like that.
yeah,
Um, and then Dan Martell shared one that I liked. He said, "When you speak your truth, you will show others where they have been living a lie." So
nice.
I like those. Yeah. But yeah, thanks anyone who's listened this far or watched this far. And if you have any comments that you want us to check on next week, just drop them below. Make sure to check those before the next episode. And yeah, you can follow both of us on Facebook by name. And yeah, thank you. See you on the next one.